Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the weekly kickoff. All right, now as we sort of enter the third week of the month, right, things usually settle down. Following the US CPI numbers, you'd think we'd have a bit more flow, but you know what, the numbers were just off the mark a touch, and there's enough geopolitical sort of rumblings to sort of really unsettle things, and if anything, it's diffused the market somewhat, right? So Trump and Putin expected to speak this week. Okay, so maybe a ceasefire, Russia, Ukraine. The whole thinking about that was, the whole positive outlook that would have on the euro. At this stage, there was rumblings Friday, right? Like that it wasn't going to happen. Anyway, we're going to wait and see. Euro has sort of diffused a bit sideways, as has the dollar index, as you'd expect. They sort of work hand in hand. The Now the safe havens, right? The Swissy and the yen slowly sort of unwinding a little bit of a safe haven play, from last week. Um, do I see that flowing through? You have to sort of wait and sort of see what happens with these various geopolitical events and then sort of place it from there. We're back to more technical structure, right? So really focusing on the technicals. I've gone through the hourlies and the dailies and sort of really fine-tuned things. You know, like there's a big gap here on the dollar index. I'm looking for things that sort of stick out, right? There's a fair bit of room here between current market and up to the resistance level in dollar Swiss. The Swissy out of all the instruments, and I'll show you the trade hub in a second, at the moment looks pretty good, right? As in, like, could slowly drift higher. Of course, Mondays are a little bit problematic. Trying to as the markets in Asia try and factor in, events and news from the European and North American sessions, you really need all the markets to open up, flush out any inadequacies, and then you sort of come back to the sort. You have a like a benchmark or a baseline to start trading from. Like trying to trade these releases on a Monday in Asia is difficult at best. Now, dollar CAD, up down. It's sort of really not going anywhere. It's really living up to its name, as the loonie. Overall, euro and sterling have both been going up, but they are in that sort of transient, sort of sideways movement market. We're waiting basically for something to give us a bit of a push, and I think this is where we start the week. In particular, Aussie and Kiwi. They We've got some sort of numbers coming out here, right? If I just come over here to the calendar, um, some retail sales, industrial production. Um, Unemployment rate, urban area. I don't even know if I've seen that before, but there's always a bit of interesting numbers coming out of China. Historically, when I was in the banks, we used to always say, well, they're rigging the numbers anyway because they sort of manipulate their currency. Why wouldn't they manipulate the numbers? So you take these numbers with a grain of salt. But you know what? As we go forward from here, I would be starting to think that these numbers are going to start really falling down. Okay, industrial output, all these things, and the tariffs from Trump are going to have put a bit of a dent in the economic sort of structure or growth of China. That flows through to the global markets, but we're waiting to see if the numbers at the moment really do. If there's been any sort of hit, I would expect it to take probably 3, maybe 4 months before we start to see things fall off. But it's worth having a look at the moment, right? So now, if I just come back over here, let me just go through just quickly using trading economics. I've always used this calendar. It's one of my favorites. So the just having a look here, right? So we've got a bit of a look here on a Monday for the Aussie and Kiwi in particular. I like this shape when we do have retail sales out of the States on a Monday, right? Because it's one of those few releases that come out on a Monday and has the potential to give the dollar some sort of like tone, right? Whether that's direction, short term or long term. Now, the month on month numbers, 0.6. Okay, retail sales. You can, of course, take out the autos and a whole bunch of things, but retail sales itself, minus zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.9 is the spread of the data there, right? So if you're looking for an outcome, right, the prior number was zero point 0.9, the poll zero point 0.6. So let's just see how that plays because the dollar is like crying out for just give us something to sort of work with. Okay. The for some reason, I don't know why these guys have got the consensus as zero point 0.7, but zero point 0.6 is the number. Uh, Hopefully, it gives us some sort of direction. Now, as we go through the week, we've got a number of tangible things that we can lean on, right? Outside of just the general technicals and the various geopolitical stuff, the ZOO or the ZEW economic sentiment numbers. You know what? Always a good historical number for seeing what's really happening under the hood of the German economy. You got the inflation numbers coming out here in Canada, and I sort of shied away from doing a live session on this primarily because there's so many things pulling the cat apart, right? And if anything, going off last week's US numbers, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm just instinctively trading, not keeping you guys updated. So that's going to change. When we are looking at opportunities here, you really need technical levels in play at the moment. The markets are pretty fickle and they're moving around. The price action is quite weird, right? That I've seen on some of the numbers. So if we have technical levels in play, yeah, those inflation numbers will come into play. Building permits, like really, that's a second tier number at best. Some of these calendars, they do overweight some of these events. You come into Wednesday, we've got the BOJ. No change expected there. No surprises. You go down here through all of Wednesday. You get to the Fed, right? I can't see anything sort of special coming out of that, but that doesn't stop me having a look at the key numbers here, right? All their projections and all this sort of stuff. You want to be having a look at that, and definitely the press conference. Probably, if anything, if you're busy, don't worry so much about the release. The press conference is where we'll find out what their thinking is about future interest rate moves, their judgment on the economy and those sorts of things. That's more important than probably the numbers because you know what? No change is almost fully factored in, right? So we've got some Kiwi numbers coming out as well this week, and there's not many of them. Westpac consumer confidence numbers. Okay, just one of the banks. That's neither here nor there. GDP might be something to really have a look at. Previous numbers were weak, get weaker numbers again, and we're talking recession. I mean, the Kiwi's already on its knees, so it's not like you're going to give it another kick. But you come into Thursday, we do have the Aussie employment numbers now. Out of the Aussie and the Kiwi, Aussie's got more liquidity, right? A bit more structure. So I would always sort of gravitate towards trading the Aussie, even on the Chinese numbers, right? If there's some sort of variance today, Aussie would be the go-to. The Kiwi just follows the Aussie mainly. Now, I'm focusing a live trading session here on the employment numbers in Australia, primarily because the market is so overcooked, right? And the central bank has been sitting on its hands going, there's no change of rates. Weaker numbers here will really put the cat amongst the pigeon. And also, you come back and sort of put the jigsaw puzzle together, put the pieces together. We get weaker Chinese numbers today as well. That should put a little bit of a negative tone on the Aussie, and then you come back and sort of put the pieces together with a key economic number. This is where we could start to see further interest rate cuts factored in. This is the initial move. That's why I'm really looking at this event as a potential starting point for the next either leg down. The numbers coming strong. Well, you know what? It could potentially keep going up. So nice one there. That flows into the UK employment numbers on Thursday as well. Once again, good structural numbers. We're going to see what's going on under the hood. We've got the Bank of England interest rate decision. No change expected there. So we've got a few sort of tangible things to look at, right? This week being the third week. You know what? We've got some central bank activity. You got the Philly Fed manufacturing existing home sales. We've got the building blocks, right? This is a building block week. Along with some key central banks. It's a little bit harder because the central banks aren't doing anything at the moment. They are just telling us what they're seeing, right? And we can see the numbers. Coming to Friday, the CAD will be sort of in the spotlight Friday. Retail sales, housing numbers. We want some structure here, right? The whole aim of going through the numbers is to try and sort of piece together what's the balance of all the fundamentals, right? So just coming into the live trade hub, right, on the Mondays, there's no surprise, right? The US equity futures are down. We're not getting much confluence across the markets at the moment. Like the markets, if there's no major news that is throwing the markets around. Well, you know what? We've got to wait for the London, North American session to really get some scope around what is happening there. Currencies in play at the moment. I do like dollar Swiss, right? If anything, I thought it was topping out, but objectively, if I looked at it objectively, you know what? This thing has still got room to go to the top side. At the moment, you'd be waiting for the hourly time frame to get that momentum sort of heading north, and then you know what? You potentially got something happening. The next live trading session will be Thursday. I've just got the key data updated as it came out just over the weekend or earlier today. So that's where we are there. The prime time analysis, you'll see, you know what, with the Trump sort of geopolitical situations, we are sort of like the short-term and long-term trends, like the long-term trends aren't changing that frequently, but we're getting bigger fluctuations in the short-term trend, right? So we're seeing some things go in and out of vogue. And at the moment, dollar Swiss, as I said, if I was being completely objective, that's the one instrument that does sort of line up at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that. The delay, this is supposed to be fully automated by now. The guys are having some issues, sort of like making it all work properly. Live sessions, Q&A on all things trading, coaching session on Wednesday, 7 a.m. London time. Now, what I'm going to be looking at here is really connecting the dots with the fundamentals, so you get a bit more clarity around how it works and what it does. Because you know what, as we go through the week, especially into Wednesday onwards, we are going to start to be able to apply some of the fluctuations in the fundamentals to our trading. Aussie employment figures, live trading on Thursday, where we are. And this week I will be sort of commencing the 10-week challenge, right? This is really, the basis of this is to push me, right? Get us back to the core basics of what Traders for Traders was about. You know, the last sort of 3 or 4 years, I've been sort of caught up in managing the funding programs and hedging positions and doing all this sort of stuff. And it's away from just core trading, right? I'm putting out fires instead of really kicking the market in the teeth. So this is where it starts. You will see some updates here, but you know what? The real action is going to be on the Discord for those traders who have sort of signed up for the 10-week challenge. The signals and everything will come through there, and I'll give you some more details very shortly around how it's going to function. For the rest of you guys who are, you know, either going through the courses, who have freshly joined up, you can, I will be posting the outcomes here, but a lot of the pending orders may not necessarily be in real time. If the trades are on, well, then I'll be posting them. But my endeavor is to keep the traders in the 10-week challenge up to speed. And that's where you get real-time updates, is going to be on the Discord itself. If you're looking to get involved in that, I think there's an update here under announcements. You can find the links, etc., if you want to join in. Now, and just a heads up on that too. I've had a few questions a lot about the 10-week challenge. This isn't like sitting in front of the screens all day. What it is it's actually me really engaging in the market, taking more than 1 or 2 looks a day, keeping abreast of key updates. If there is a shift in the fundamentals, trying to get onto those as much as we can. And if there's a change in the trends, or if the trends start to kick in, really nail those opportunities. And then keeping all the traders involved in that up to speed, right? I don't want a sort of situation where, you know, I'm sort of getting in and out and sort of this, that, and the other, but there is structure to the overall process, and that will become evident. I'll be updating, as I said, the 10-week challenge participants, well, not long after this video, in actual fact. So we want to get that sort of moving. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be, I think it's going to be quite powerful. All we need to do is we get good market conditions where we're rocking and rolling, right? That's our job, is to go through, right, these events. The calendar is set a year in advance, right? So when we're looking at the calendar, we're like, yeah, that's great. Now, how does it relate to what's going on in the technical framework that we currently have, right? That's the job of a trader. So having a global team looking at this should be beneficial. We should be able to get updates from anyone, regardless of how much experience you've got. If you've gone through the courses, if you've gone through Prime Time Trading and you've got Prime Time Pro, Well, you know what? This is where we're going to sort of put it all into play. And I'm looking forward to it because it gets me back to my grassroots, not just managing the funding programs, but actually trading and taking money out of the market continuously. It's a feel-good experience and obviously one better for your wallet as well. All right, so this week, let's just keep a close eye on the markets. Okay, I should have just updated you there too. With the live trade hub, I have included the market sentiment. Now, hopefully the guys can automate this so it's not static. Right at the moment, it is static. US yields, US dollar index, US equities. And if we do get the markets lining up with a risk on, risk off profile, you'll get updated there. And that should help guide you into reading the market, right? It's sort of like interpreting what is on this page. Into your structure. And if anything, the yield's slightly lower there, just as the market opens up there. Price up, yields down, right? That's how it works. And the equity markets, well, they're slightly down at the moment as well. And you know what? Looking at the equities, I'm like, what is that? Is it this the Houthis, right? Okay, the US taking some other dudes out. I don't know if that's the problem. Whether it's something to do with the Ukraine-Russian peace talks or anything else for that matter, right? So we're going to wait and see. Let's just see how it plays out. Don't try and guess what's going to happen. Let's look for the numbers. Let's keep a close eye on the technical structure, short term and long term, right? That's where the action is. And hopefully, as I said, we can start to nail some decent moves. We get some good, less Trump, more fundamentals. That's going to be good for all of us. All right, pretty big video that one, but a bit of an update across the board. Yeah, tune up your charts. Great time to be looking at the market, and I'm pretty pumped for this 10-week challenge. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.